Tucker Carlson says there's one mistake that destroys most marriages. And I watched his video. My first thought was actually, he's right. He's right. I believe that this mistake probably does destroy most marriages. But here's what got me about the video. Almost nobody talks about what this mistake does to kids. How kids inherit the parents' patterns and subconsciously repeat the patterns they have learned, often without ever knowing why. So today I'm excited because I really found a lot of helpful information in this video by Tucker Carlson, and we're going to react to it. He's talking to another man named Bryce Crawford. And my goal is to not argue with what he says, but to slow it down and unpack what he is talking about, how these mistakes shape children in particular psychologically, and how these mistakes can actually derail children's futures. So we're going to get into it right away, guys. Also, please leave your questions, comments in the live chat. I will get to them at the end of the video. And as always, let me know where you're coming from in the world. It's interesting for me to see where everybody is located at. I'm in Utah, and it is still not snowing. It's only snowed one time this year. Disappointing, but here we go. This is Tucker Carlson. Why is his name so hard to say? On the main reason why marriages fail. And as we watch, please let me know in the live chat or in the comments if you're rewatching the replay if you agree with this. If not, what do you think destroys marriages more than what his claim is making? Here we go.
So one of the questions I had for you is marriage advice. I'm getting married in January.
What?
Getting married, and I only take relationship advice from married people.
Of course.
Because you got like
who else would you take it from?
Well, you know, everyone on TikTok wants to take dating advice and marriage advice from two 16-year-olds that have been together for 20 days. You know,
actually?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, everyone's asking everyone on social media, or they're watching dating relationships.
I bet they're writing their own vows
social media too. It's so bad.
It's inventing it.
It's bad. Yeah. So if you had some marriage advice, what would be your greatest piece of marriage advice?
I have two pieces. Well, one observation, one piece of advice. The foundation of marriage, a single critical piece that will determine the health, prosperity, happiness of your family or children. Does the wife respect her husband? So men are required to love their wives. Women are required to respect their husbands. And I do think loving your wife is easier than respecting your husband. And because men have a pretty low threshold for love, I'm not going to be more specific, but that just kind of comes naturally. She smells good. I love it. Respect for your husband is harder to win, but it's absolutely critical. And when a wife respects her husband, she gives him the strength I just described. She gives a sense of security, invulnerability to the children. Everything's okay between mom and dad. Therefore, everything is okay, period.
I actually think this part is psychologically accurate, even if people argue about how he frames it here. Of course, I would push back a little bit and say it needs to go both ways, and you need to make it clear it goes both ways. Husbands and wives must respect each other. But what I think Tucker is really getting at here is that children don't need perfect parents. They need parents who are a team, who act as partners, and who have a stable emotional alliance. They need parents who put each other first. And when that alliance between the parents begins to break down, kids don't feel unsafe because of that conflict. They feel unsafe because there's no solid center of the family anymore. And what happens, ask me how I know, firsthand lived through this with my parents. And I love my parents. I love my family, but I did live through a lot of this. And I can say that from my personal experience, from interviewing others, doing research for years, in homes where the marriage becomes emotionally destabilized or disconnected, the children become the stabilizing force. Not good. That's when you begin to see things like parentification, anxiety, perfectionism, people-pleasing tendencies, and other maladaptive coping mechanisms. The children are trying to obtain some type of control in an environment where they feel powerless and where they feel unstable. I think there's also a risk here of turning it into one partner has to carry everything so the other feels safe. One partner has to respect the other so the other feels desired. And that's not healthy either. So what I'm trying to say is that both parties must be putting the marriage first. Both parties must be respecting each other.
And that is where the peace in a marriage comes from, is that respect. And it has to be given and also earned. She has to give it, he has to earn it. And so that is the critical thing right there, in my opinion. And there are a lot of factors in our society that make it hard for that to exist, which is why so many marriages fail. And I believe that after, just for the record, 35 years married, 41 years with the same girl, watch carefully, and that's what I've concluded. But my one piece of marriage advice has to do with children, and it's really simple. And there are all kinds of complex marriages, and like you find yourself in places where you didn't expect to be, and especially if there are drugs or alcohol involved, it's a very, very different thing. But for people who are facing just the normal challenges, which are mostly about money, that's the biggest challenge. Everyone's like so caught up in sex and everything's fine. You don't have problems there. Money puts massive stress on marriage, or ask any married couple. And in a normal marriage, facing normal stresses like the ones I just described, the critical mistake that people make is they focus on the children instead of each other.
Okay, right there. I wish every person considering marriage and every married person could hear this. What destroys marriages is not just putting the children first, it's using anything above each other. I think it's true. A lot of people do put the children first and their marriage second, and that causes a lot of havoc and destroys marriages. I think that's true. But I want to expand on this because there's a lot to talk about, guys. And let me know as I'm going through this, your thoughts. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. My belief is that it's not just children. So many things could be put before your marriage, and maybe it's not even happening with ulterior motives. Maybe it's just happening without you even realizing it. But think about it. Work. A lot of people do put their work above their connection with their spouse. Extended family. You know, a lot of times your family of origin will demand more emotional energy from you, demand more time from you, and that takes away from your marriage. It's easy to put your family of origin above your marriage. That's a crucial, crucial mistake that can cause, a fast track to divorce. You could put church, your religion above your marriage. You could put, some people would even argue that you need to do that. Politics, social media, there's so many things to be distracted by and so many ways to put your marriage second or even last. So I would expand on Tucker's claim here to say that the critical mistake people make is they focus on anything more than each other. My argument is the same, similar to Tucker's argument in this case, which is that the marriage must come first. And guys, I'm not a marriage expert. I've been married, we're on our 8th year, but I'm not a marriage expert. However, I know that kids are the safest place to hide behind because no one can criticize you for putting effort and energy and time into your children. It's harder to criticize you. And I want to talk for a moment about the effect that this has on kids, by the way. Having lived through this myself, from the child's perspective, when your parent is more involved with you and they begin to use you to emotionally regulate, or they involve you in adult conflicts, adult conversations, they rely on you as if they would rely on their spouse. As a child, this does not feel like love. It feels like being recruited into an adult battle, an adult system that you're not meant to be part of. And when a parent uses their child to regulate their loneliness, their sadness, their frustration, or avoidance of their spouse, the child becomes an emotional object, what Dr. Childress refers to as a regulatory object. And when a parent expends more love and energy toward their child than their spouse, this communicates to the child that they are more important than the marriage. Inversion of a hierarchy here, upside down. Children are beneath the marriage. And you must have that hierarchy in the right order for your family to have a healthy system. By the way, this is all something that I lived through as a child. If you're new to my project, hi, I'm Maddie. I've spent 20 years experiencing child psychological abuse, often known as parental alienation. And through my organization, the Anti-Alienation Project, I help families understand this dynamic from the child's point of view. And my goal is to alert other people to the truth that manipulation can turn children against a loving parent. I rejected my dad for 20 years because my mom made me believe lies, horror stories, false allegations against him. And it was a very, very difficult time. So thank you for being here. If you're enjoying the video, by the way, please like and comment. Every click and comment tells YouTube that this conversation matters and that silence is not the answer. Now let's get back to the video.
And for the obvious reason, children have immediate needs. They're not long-term needs. I have to pee. I'm hungry. Will you play with me? Like, this is not long-term stuff. It's like right now. You love your children. That's organic. Only a freak doesn't love his kids. It just comes naturally to you. Even the hardest-hearted person loves his kids. Stalin loved his daughter. Just, you can't help it. So it's really easy. And that's all great. It's all designed by God to make you into a decent parent. But the trap is if you use your children as an escape from your spouse. And I am.
This is very important. We need to be careful here. Careful not to do this. Using your kids to escape your spouse might be one of the most common forms of unintentional psychological abuse in families. Hear me out. Children in this scenario are not being harmed because their parents are screaming at each other or throwing things or hitting each other. Children in this scenario are harmed because the tension is shoved underground, and the children are unconsciously pulled into managing it. They become what I said before, what Dr. Childress calls regulatory objects. In other words, the children become a resource that a parent can use to emotionally regulate themselves. No. Very harmful. Very harmful. It gives the child a sense of importance. My parent loves me so much. They trust me so much. They think I'm so mature that I can handle this. But when kids are pulled into adult conflicts or used to manage their parents' emotions, what happens is they adapt and they learn very harmful things about themselves in the world, such as, I need to suppress my own needs. I must suppress my own needs. I must not upset anyone. I need to stay emotionally alert. I need to be useful. I need to take care of everyone in the family. Often they become hypervigilant, always looking around and gauging the emotional state of their parent, always worried about their parents' well-being, feeling responsible for their parents' emotions. This is an easy way to end a childhood.
I'm just amazed after all these years of living with the same woman every single day, waking up with the dogs and the same girl every morning for all these years, how hard it is for men and women to understand each other. And I'm at like 75% comprehension and really, really trying hard. I'm like a child learning Japanese. Ichi ni sango. Like I'm really trying, right, to understand what my wife is saying. And I know that she's trying every bit as hard. And we get along. We have great communication, relatively speaking, but it's still only 75% because we're different sexes. And the differences are more profound than our society admits. They're all the same. Just you can change at will. That's the biggest lie ever told. It's absurd. Have you ever been married? You don't understand what she's saying. So it's hard. And they communicate so differently. Here's the point of this observation is that it's so easy for a man to be like freaking crazy, which they are. I mean, obviously, but the craziness is not, it's just on the surface. They actually have something important to tell you. And so many men, and I've done this a million times myself, are like, I can't deal with this. I'm super busy. You're crazy. I don't know what you're saying. I'm going to go be with the kids. If you keep doing that, you will destroy your marriage. You will destroy your marriage. You have to, as the husband who is in charge of the household, period, doesn't mean you're an autocrat or a king or boss your wife around. You'll never boss your wife around. No man is even.
Good morning, Roman. You ready for some more?
Okay, so whether or not you agree with that statement, just hear him out for the next one.
Wife around. It's like they're impossible to boss around. It's not even worth trying. But what I mean by in charge is you have to be the leader. Somebody has to make a decision at some point, and that person is you. She wants that from you. God has ordained that. You were created to be the leader. Sorry. And anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to shirk their duties. I'm not the leader here. Yeah, you are, whether you want to be or not. And if you shirk that, she'll hate you for that. Trust me, she'll hate you. Man up and listen to what she's saying until you can figure out what it is. And the last thing I will say is as you're getting married, like your wedding's in next month?
Yeah, on the 10th.
Okay, so she's calling you all the time with like, hey, I've got all these decisions.
This part is what I was talking about. When I heard this part, it helped make sense of a lot of things, honestly, that I experienced with my husband. So let me know what you guys think of this next part.
Like, what color do you want the napkins? How many people should be in the pictures? This is happening to you. I know for a fact. I haven't talked to her, but I already know this.
You're a prophet.
I am a prophet. And I've been around a few weddings. So your instinct is always going to be, baby, you got this. I trust you. You got this. You make the decision.
Yeah, that's my husband, guys. That's what my husband is.
You're communicating to her, I have total faith in you. I know you'll do the right thing. You're going to be a great wife, great mother, great at running our household. She hears from you.
When he said that, I was already thinking he doesn't care, because that's what happens with me and my husband. If I ask him a question, want his opinion, want his input, and he says something like, whatever you want, whatever you think is best. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. It's easy to interpret that as he doesn't care.
That's what you're thinking when you say that, because I know you've said that for a fact, because I've been listening to your calls. She is thinking, he doesn't care. He's not interested.
Yeah.
Don't say that. What you say is, she said, should we have orange or pink napkins? Say pink, obviously. She'll go, well, I like the orange. And you say, that's absolutely right, orange. We need orange napkins. We don't want pink napkins. We want orange napkins. How many people should be at wedding pictures? You say 15. She'll be like, well, I wanted 12. Yeah, that's right, 12. She wants you to engage. She wants you to make the decision, when in fact, she's really making the decision. You'll have this problem with dinner. Let's go to dinner Friday night. Where do you want to go? And you'll be like, wherever you want to go, baby. Whatever you want. And she'll hear, he doesn't care about going to dinner with me.
Okay. So now, to be fair, sometimes if your spouse is saying you decide or whatever you want, sometimes it really is about respect, or they really are just apathetic about whatever question you're asking them. Not every request for engagement is a result of, insecurity or family of origin wounds. The difference, I think, is the pattern. If they're always saying you decide, or, it's whatever you want, that's when it starts to feel like apathy or absence. I want to mention family of origin patterns here. If one spouse grew up in a home where decisions were chaotic or emotionally unsafe, they are not asking for control. More likely, they're asking for containment. They're asking for you to care and to know that you care. When someone says, you decide, whatever you think, I trust you, the person who's saying that probably is just trying to be generous or thoughtful. They're trying to relate to their partner, I trust you to decide. I trust you with this decision. But for many people, especially women who have lived in volatile households, dysfunctional family systems, myself included, what actually lands is they don't care. I'm alone in this. They don't care about this at all, or they don't care about me. So when a spouse asks, what do you want to do? Many times they're not asking for control. They're asking, are you here with me? Are you caring about this? Can I count on you? Can I lean on you? And for someone like me who grew up having to read the room, manage moods, manage expectations, keep the peace, etc., decisions were never neutral. They were loaded. You can make one decision, it could be the wrong decision, and all of a sudden, there's World War III breaking out in the household. Someone gets upset, someone withdraws, someone is blamed. It's a fiasco. And it was difficult to ever make the right decisions. So in adulthood, when a partner disengages from decisions, it actually recreates that same emotional loneliness and the isolation felt in childhood, even if your partner means well. So over time, this pattern can erode trust, can create resentment, and it can lead one partner to feel invisible or unsupported. The other might be left feeling really confused because they think that they're just being respectful or easygoing. And this is where children can be pulled in. They sense the tension. Children are like sponges. They sense every mood and exchange that you guys have in the marriage. They sense it and they try to help and they want to become emotionally useful. And if you're really dysfunctional or, if you haven't worked on your trauma, if you're emotionally immature, you might lean into that and start relying on your child to meet your needs, which is very, very dysfunctional. It's very bad for the child.
You say, I want to go to the Italian place. She'll say, I hate Italian. I want to go Chinese. And you say to her, Italian's disgusting. We're going to the Chinese place.
I like that.
It's real. It's the most real thing. And you will save so much sadness and drama in your household. She'll totally relax and be like, he's got this. Even though you just repeated her choice back to her. No, for real.
Yeah.
And that's basically marriage in a sentence. You're repeating her choice back to her as a decision.
Wow.
But if you allow her to make the decision, she doesn't want to make the decision. She wants you to make the decision. If you just say you make the decision, all she hears is he doesn't care. He's thinking about golf.
Wow. He's thinking about golf.
Write this on your arm, dude. This is important.
Say what you want about Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with everything he says. I really don't agree with everything anyone says. I, agree with parts and pieces of what people believe, and I come to my own conclusions, and I would encourage everybody else to do the same thing. Be your own, critical thinker, question people, question everything, even your own thoughts. But he understands this. Yeah, you could tell he's been married for decades because he understands the women's psyche when it comes to this issue. It's quite impressive, actually.
I really appreciate that. I think it's extremely encouraging. And I got one last question for you before
it's
we
not
end.
encouraging. It's like totally demented. But
I've got to do this. I've got to. We've got no pink napkins, orange napkins.
Yeah.
No, you were right. I'm like, you're telling me this stuff, and I'm like, this literally just happened 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. So that is
no,
really
because
helpful.
you're going to tell her, look, I'm not an expert on weddings. You got the wedding. Talk to your mom about it. Whatever. All she hears is you don't care.
Yeah.
Remember, they don't hear what you say. They're different from us. And that's why marriage is still interesting 30, 40, 50 years in.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, that's why homosexuality is so basically unsatisfying. You get bored really fast.
Yeah. See, like when he says stuff like that, I'm just like, no, you had it right. Just stop. Just stop there. Don't take it the extra step. Don't hate on homosexuals. No.
And there's other problems.
Maybe there's some other problems there other than
Just saying.
it's boring.
Okay. So
I hope you'll.
why is he still in the background? Jeez. As you can tell, I run a very, very professional show here. Let me know, you guys, what do you think about this? Do you agree with his statement that the number one mistake to make in marriage, the critical mistake, is focusing on the children instead of each other? I want to know. Just say yes, no. Do you agree that that's the number one mistake people make in marriage? If you think that that's not the number one mistake people make in marriage, what do you think the number one mistake is? I'm super curious about this. It's kind of a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way as well. Don't want everybody to think that I think I'm a perfect parent or wife, because I'm on this journey with everybody else in the world trying to be better every day. But now I do wholeheartedly believe and try to live out that belief that my children must come after my marriage. For sure. Because if your marriage is not solid, your children will start to suffer. So that's where I land. I believe he's right. I believe that there are a lot of other things too that you could put before your marriage and your family of origin, especially if it's an enmeshed family system. They're going to want to put the family of origin above your marriage. That will come naturally to them. They will insist on it, actually. So I'll respond to a few questions or comments in the live chat. Impression Campaign says, agreed. Wife and husband should respect each other. Absolutely. CC says he's right. I think he's right too. Okay, so MC says, my ex would ask me that so she could bash my choice and impose hers. After a while, you get it. It's always the other way, so you end up shutting up. My ex is the equivalent of your mom in the situation. Yikes. Sorry to hear that. Really difficult. Yeah, so if you have an opinion, if your spouse is asking you something and you actually do have an opinion, like, oh, what do you want for dinner? And you really are craving pizza, craving Chinese, you need to tell them that. Like, you're allowed to have an opinion in your marriage, you know? Let's see. Yeah, this is what I meant. Steven says, if a person starts the conversation, then that person is the problem person because they're instigating a disagreement. Well, I don't necessarily think that. I think that sometimes, they just want their partner's opinion on things. See, sorry, my throat. Cece says, parents are the nucleus and children are the circle around us, not the other way around. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a hierarchy. So you have the parents and the marriage at the top, and then you have the children beneath. And if you are pulling the children upward to the top of the pyramid hierarchy where they're not meant to belong, you're going to have an unhealthy family system. Oh, thank you for this feedback, Lisa. Lisa says, it's been my experience that the number one mistake is not focusing on the kids. It's not focusing on God first and your self-reflection on how you can be the best partner, parent, and human. Interesting take. So are you saying that it's more important let me rephrase that. Is your claim that the most critical mistake in a marriage is not focusing on God first? Is that your claim? Steven says, children come first once you have children. You don't matter anymore, so you have to suck it up, Buttercup. Pretty much. And if you can't suck it up, Buttercup, you probably are not the best parent in the world. But it's another video for another day. Okay, Lisa says yes. She says that focusing on God first is the number one most critical mistake you can make in marriage. Okay, but say you don't believe in God. For those who don't believe in God, or even if you do believe in God, do you believe, Lisa, do you believe that that the marriage must come before the children after God? Do you believe the marriage must come before the children after God? Because that would be my argument. I understand if you believe in God, I believe in God, that might take precedence over the marriage. I think the real conversation is about the marriage and the kids, which should be the number one priority between the marriage and the kids. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you think. I don't really know if this is a controversial issue. I think for some people it would be, but if you think through the logic of it, by putting your marriage first, you're also putting your kids first, because your kids need to have a solid alliance between their parents. Even if they are broken up, by the way, even if they are separated, divorced, kids benefit when their parents are on the same team, working to meet their needs and looking out for the kids' best interests together. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting take by Tucker Carlson. Okay. Lisa says, sorry, it went to commercial. If you do not believe in God, I would say your spiritual health. If you aren't healthy inside, and if we do not know how to have relationships, the rest is hard. Josh says, God first, marriage second, children third, friendships, family fourth. I think you're spot on there. Steven says, anyone can get married, not everyone can have children. As long as you're I don't know about that. I think that you might be off a little bit. I think anyone can have children. I mean, as long as you don't have an infertility issue or something like that, technically anyone can have children. All it takes is having sex, literally. But not everyone can be a parent. Does that make sense? Like anyone can produce an offspring. It's not hard. But not everybody can be a parent, a good parent. There's a difference between having a kid and being a good parent. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. I think what's really tragic is that a lot of people watching this might feel some sort of way and not realize why this topic is hitting them so hard. But if you grew up in a home where your parents were not emotionally connected to each other or putting each other first, there's a chance that you might have prioritized other people's needs above your own. And you might even still be doing that in your marriage. And that's why this crucial mistake matters so much, not because it ends marriages, but because it becomes the emotional environment that children grow up inside. It becomes their normal. And then when they find a spouse down the road or are dating someone down the road and they're put in a dysfunctional relationship down the road, it's going to feel normal to them. They won't realize that they're being mistreated. So the takeaway for me is that when silence replaces safety, kids don't see a bad marriage. They simply learn that's how love works. They learn what to tolerate. They learn what to believe about marriage, what kind of spouse they're going to be down the line, and what they will tolerate from a spouse down the line. So I think the real cost of this mistake isn't just divorce. It's way deeper than that. It's the patterns that these children inherit and repeat without ever really knowing where it comes from. If you grew up in a home like that, or if you're trying to make sure that your children do not grow up in a home like that, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for being here. I hope you guys are doing great, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.